Over the past couple of weeks, I've been responding to a few questions people commonly ask about Celtic gods. In most of my videos, I'm pretty factual. The information is about what's in mythological texts with a bit of history thrown in. When it comes to humans relating to deities, we're talking about personal experience and personal opinion. I've been a Celtic polytheist for about 40 years, so I have years of experience and friends with years of experience. That still doesn't give me the right to say your experiences are right or wrong, true or untrue. If what I say doesn't feel right for you, that's okay. Today, I thought I might talk about patron deities. As far as I know, there's no evidence for individuals having patron deities in Celtic speaking cultures of the past, but there's not enough surviving evidence for us to really know. Maybe it's not that important to know. What I have noticed is that it's becoming increasingly popular in neo paganism and even modern witchcraft to have a patron god or goddess. I'm not going to tell you that's a bad idea, but I want to look at some of the different ideas that are out there. Last week, I talked about the phenomenon of people being called by deities, or at least believing that they've been called. I think deities do call people, and I think some people also might imagine they're being called, and a few are looking for a bit of drama or attention and might be making things up. If you feel convinced that a deity is calling you, that doesn't mean that you are necessarily going to be in a close or long-standing relationship with them. It doesn't always follow that they are offering you their patronage or that you would necessarily want it. And it certainly doesn't mean that you should start making vows. I plan to talk specifically about the vow question in the next video in this series. Today, I'm going to stick to the question of patrons. If you'd like to delve a little deeper into the topics in my videos, you might enjoy taking one of my online classes. You can find out more about them at the link which is on your screen now. You can also support my work on Ko-fi or by becoming a patron. You'll also find free content to read on my Patreon page and on my website. All the links are in the description. I don't think we really have an agreed definition of what we mean by a patron goddess or god. Some specific groups or traditions might have a definition, and if you're a member of a group which does, then you can go by their teachings. Generally, the word patron or patroness is being used more in neo-paganism than it used to be, and it's often just used to mean something like a special relationship. If we take the word out of modern paganism for a minute and just look at the word, it can mean things as different as customer, supporter, sponsor, and of course there are patron saints in Christianity, and I think that's important. The word itself comes from the same root as father, but it means someone with a bit more power to help you than just your literal parent, someone with extra influence, money, or supernatural power. Over the past week, I asked a lot of my polytheist friends what they thought about this. Most of the people who responded are older, and they've been polytheists for a long time. Several of them were really surprised that this is even a thing. A couple thought it was a bad idea, and others felt it was just a natural thing to do. Others spoke of dedication or devotion. Ask 10 pagans a question, get 12 answers. What we can learn from these answers is that having a patron deity isn't that important for a lot of people. And it certainly isn't a requirement. In the distant past, there were tutelary deities who might be something like protectors of a particular city or tribe, or even people with a particular occupation. We can see how this was transferred seamlessly to the idea of patron saints by the early church. It's probably quite natural for individuals to claim patron deities too, but I don't think it can be forced. I don't believe that there's a perfect match between each human and a particular patron deity just waiting to be discovered by every person who becomes a Celtic polytheist. So I would just caution you to be wary of anyone saying, do this spell or do this guided meditation or something, and your patron deity will be revealed to you. And don't let anyone make you feel like you're lacking something if you don't have a patron deity. If you're drawn to Celtic polytheism and possibly to a specific branch within it, make an effort to learn about the myths and deities. There's a reason why I focus most of my effort on teaching mythology or teaching about specific deities. If you're going to get involved with the gods, it's a good idea to know who they are. In polytheism, it's normal to pray to some deities only occasionally, others perhaps never, and to have a few special ones. I'm not saying that's what everyone does or that's what you must do, but it's perfectly normal and natural, and I think it's a healthy approach. Within that wider system, some people will develop relationships which feel so special that they might call one or more deities their patron. That's probably because they pray or make offerings to them more often, or even feel like those deities communicate with them. And really, who would you expect to have your back? Who would you expect to protect you or look after you a little bit? It's likely to be someone you know well. Perhaps whether you call them your patron or not really isn't that important.